There are three root causes for content creator burnout. There are also three numbers that will tell you if burnout is coming your way long before it hits you in the face. That's information I shared in these two videos. But here's the problem: information on its own never changes behavior. It's what most productivity advice really is like. You read it, you agree with it, you're motivated, but 2 weeks later, nothing has changed. You know this already, and I'm speaking from 8 years of very personal experience here. So the only question that matters is this: what do you do with the information, like the numbers, so burnout is no longer a thing you have to worry about? The answer is a 30-minute review session once a week where you stop being a content creator and you turn into a systems thinker instead. That's the routine that'll help you avoid burnout for good. Let's talk about how it looks like. If you've watched the first two parts in this series, you may have decided it's a good idea to recognize the signs of creator burnout before it hits you in the face. But that decision alone won't be enough to start a new review of your content pipeline and do it week after week. Why? Because decisions require willpower to execute, and willpower is a finite resource. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I need a lot of it, I usually find that I'm fresh out. So, adding a new review to your already packed schedule is a tricky thing to achieve. The fix is not more discipline or hustling harder, though. The fix is architecture. I don't rely on remembering the review. I build it into the structure of my week so that skipping it takes more effort than doing it. Same day, same time, same format every single week. That's what I'm talking about. Planning of tasks in blocks like this takes the constant decision making out of the equation, which is what drains willpower in the first place. That predefined structure, same day, same time, same format every single week, carries that behavior, so you don't have to. Now, the session itself has three parts to it: measure, decide, and remove. The only goal for all three is to turn information into action steps, something that will make the difference between creator burnout or a content pipeline that runs well. For the measurement part of the 30-minute session, it's important to write down the numbers. Memory is not a reliable measurement system, ever. If you don't believe me, just ask yourself, what did you have for breakfast 2 weeks ago? Or hey, 2 days ago, I don't care. What doesn't get tracked does not get remembered. So if we specifically talk about the three numbers that'll tell you burnout is coming, they need to be written down. Ideally every week, so there is a trend forming. For example, I ask myself, what's my content at this week? How many videos am I behind on my plan? One, two, maybe five? Or am I on schedule? Same goes for my production ratio. How much time did I actually spend on making content this week? 40, 50%, or less than 30? How much time did I spend on other tasks? How long did it take me after publishing the last video to produce the next one? How many days was my recovery time or lag? To be fair, the numbers themselves are not really the point though. The trend is what I'm interested in. Looking at any one week means nothing. One data point means nothing. The trend is what matters. How does your content that look like then? If you're 6 videos behind in your plan, there might be a problem. How does your production ratio look like after 8 weeks, let's say? So if you consistently spend 80% on other tasks and only 20% on content creation, that could be a problem down the road. Collecting the three numbers and putting them in a spreadsheet takes less than 10 minutes each week. It's really not much work, but they will give you a solid foundation for decision making that's based on data and not your personal feelings, certainly not memory. The main purpose of that measure part is to see clearly first when it comes to content creation. Now, the behind the scenes business aspect of it all is an entirely different beast, way more complex. But chances are you want the same thing here: better output in less time without the stress. For that, you need effective operational systems in different areas, especially if you're a one man or a one woman show. And that's exactly why I put together my free one-page solopreneur operating system. It gives you a simple structure for running your business alongside content creation with more clarity and less chaos. Link is in the description below. Making a decision based on the data is part 2 of the 30-minute review. And the rule here is simple. If one number is off, don't make any changes to your work just yet. Now, if two numbers are off, ask yourself one question. What's the highest leverage thing you can do in the next week to improve just one of the numbers? For example, in the last 4 weeks, you've consistently spent 20% on content creation, but 80% on other tasks. Because of that, you're now 3 videos behind your publishing schedule. What can you do about it in the next 7 days to fix this escalating trend? Instinctively, most of us think, well, I just need to go push harder for a few weeks to compensate. Work 2 more hours every day on content, let's say, so I get those videos published faster. Unfortunately, that's exactly what pushes people closer to burnout. It's the wrong move and definitely the wrong mindset. In the beginning, I said for this review session to work, you need to stop being a creator for just half an hour and be a systems thinker instead. Now, the answer shouldn't be I work longer to make more content. It should be how do I reduce the 80% of other tasks so I have more time for content creation without adding extra hours to my work? Eliminate efficiencies, don't optimize them. So, this is the moment to look at anything but content and figure out ways to eliminate inefficient workflows that take hours every week. Let's just say you spend 5 hours on email. Is there a way to get that down to 2 or 3 per week? Pick one inefficient task and decide to eliminate it, which is what part 3 of the 30-minute review is about. Once you've identified the one thing in your workflow that slows you down, find a way to remove it within a week. And just so we're clear, this is not supposed to be a big picture strategy change. The goal is simply to identify one small friction point and fix it. Get email checking down from 5 to 3 hours a week. Implement a proper file naming convention once so you don't waste 20 minutes every single day looking for your files. Create a video description template so you don't have to write it from scratch every single time. Those are the kind of friction points we're talking about here. None of these examples sound that bad if we look at them individually. What makes them dangerous, though, is that together these friction points compound to the point where they cause real problems. Otherwise, the three numbers wouldn't be off in the first place. They clearly indicate there is friction in the system, which will lead to burnout for the creator who works the system. So the fix here is documentation. Clarify the friction point as best as you can, and don't say file management is a mess, but rather I spent 20 minutes on Tuesday finding the video script. Define what the ideal process should look like, write that process down, and even if it's just 3 sentences. The next time the same situation comes up, you're not making a fresh decision based on memory anymore. You're following a process you already built. If you manage to get all 3 parts of this review session right, burnout should never become an issue. Part 1 gives you the visibility by noting down the numbers. You can see into the system instead of just feeling it. Part 2 gives you direction because of the one decision. You identify a friction point. And part 3 removes that friction point one process at a time. And at the end of the day, this will make your content operation more efficient. Not because you work more hours each week, but because you spend 30 minutes a week removing the friction that was consuming those hours before. Of course, this only works if there's a certain level of consistency with it. The easiest way to achieve consistency, I personally found, is same day, same time, same format every single week. Habits and routines work much better if they happen in the same context. So personally, I do my review and maintenance blogs on Friday afternoons. But I totally understand that for some creators, the best option might actually be the day when they publish. just a few hours after the video goes live, because that's already an active work session anyway. So running a 30-minute review right after publishing can actually create a rhythm. Finish off this week's output, assess next week's operation, set the priority for that next cycle. Sunday evening could also work, and you can use the review as your transition between personal time and the upcoming work week. What doesn't work for sure is leaving it unplanned. I'll do it sometime this week when I have a moment. We both know that moment simply won't come. So pick the day, put it in your calendar, protect it the same way you would protect a recording session or a client call, because it is that important if you don't want to dance with burnout all the time. Okay, so part one of this series was all about diagnosing the three root causes of creator burnout: lack of proper load distribution, not having a circuit breaker, and no review. Creator burnout is not a motivation failure or lack of passion. It's structural failures stacking up until the system falls apart. And the key message is to not treat a systems design issue as a mindset problem or even as personal weakness. Part 2 adds a measurement or a data layer to it. Three numbers: content debt, production ratio, and recovery lag. Unlike CTR views or subscriber count, they show us how well the content pipeline is working behind the scenes, so that we can take action before burnout hits us in the face. Part 3, the 30-minute review, turns all that information into action. The friction points get identified and taken care of. Ideally, same day, same time, same format every single week. Simply to cut the willpower out of the equation. The ultimate goal with any of this is to build systems that absorb the pressure content creation comes with, so that we, the people who do the content creation, don't have to absorb the pressure personally. That's what the system is supposed to do. Fact is, the creators who still publish at video 300 are not more talented than the ones who burned out at video 60. They're not more passionate either. They're not working harder. They simply build systems that can run for years, not just for a few months. I don't believe my content needs me to care more about it. Neither does yours. It needs a better environment for it to get made. And that environment is this system. Alright, that's it for today. I see you next time.